Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unlocking what I genuinely consider to be a real-life civic superpower. I'm talking about accessing public court records online, completely for free. Whether you're running a quick background check, digging into your family's genealogy, or just trying to track down an old traffic ticket, knowing exactly how to navigate these databases is just incredibly empowering. And the absolute best part? If you know where to look, you can get your hands on a massive mountain of information without spending a single dime.
But right out of the gate, we've got this fascinating little geographic twist. If you jump online searching for McLean County court records, well, you have to ask yourself, which one? Seriously, imagine the nightmare for the Postal Service, because there are actually 3 entirely distinct McLean counties in the U.S. You've got McLean County, Illinois, McLean County, North Dakota, and McLean County, Kentucky. And here's the kicker. Every single one operates under its own state constitution, its own judicial rules, and completely separate digital databases. There is no magical universal search bar that covers all 3.
So to get you sorted, here is our roadmap for today. First, understanding records. Second, preparing to search. Third, navigating websites. Fourth, interpreting results. And finally, resources and tips. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, Understanding Court Records. What exactly are they, and why do they even matter? Basically, court records are the official, step-by-step documentation of any legal proceeding. Depending on the state, they're typically sorted into a few main buckets. First up, you have civil records. This is where you'll find lawsuits, contract disputes, and real estate issues, usually anything over $5,000. Then you've got criminal and traffic records, which honestly covers the whole spectrum, from a simple speeding citation all the way up to serious felony charges. Family court handles things like divorces, child support, and adoptions. And lastly, probate court deals with wills, estates, and guardianships. Knowing exactly which bucket your target record belongs in is absolutely crucial because a lot of counties actually split up their civil databases from their criminal ones.
Moving on to Section 2, Preparing for your search. Why gathering your data first is a total game changer.
Listen, the secret to a really fast, frustration-free search isn't necessarily being a tech wizard. It's actually all about the preliminary data you gather before you ever open your web browser. Step 1 is a no-brainer. Identify the correct state. Step 2 is gathering exact names and aliases. Court systems are incredibly literal, you guys. So if a person used a middle initial, a maiden name, a nickname, you're going to want all of those written down. Step 3 is finding any known case or citation numbers. And hey, here's a massive pro tip from our sources. If you're looking up a traffic ticket in North Dakota or Illinois by the citation number, you often have to pad that number with leading zeros just to meet the system's character requirements. So if the ticket is 987-654, you literally might have to type 00000987654 just to get a match. Crazy, right?
Now, what's really interesting about this next part, let's jump into Section 3, Navigating the Court Websites and Finding the Exact Right Portal. And this brilliantly illustrates the real challenge here, because every state built their digital infrastructure at completely different times. They use totally different software vendors. In Illinois, you're going to be using a system called Judici, or the statewide Research IL portal. Up in North Dakota, you're logging into the Odyssey system, which they also call NDCRI. And down in Kentucky, you'll be on the KY Courts portal. You absolutely cannot search a North Dakota record on an Illinois website. You literally have to pick the exact right tool for the job. Let's break each one down.
If your search is in McLean County, Illinois, you actually have a couple of really great options. The local circuit clerk portal splits out civil and criminal searches, and it's got fully automated records dating all the way back to 1991. But honestly, a lot of researchers prefer Judici.com. Judici is great because it beautifully organizes all the case info into these really clean tabs. There's an information tab for the basics, a history tab for the timeline, a dispositions tab for the verdict, and even a fines and fees tab so you can see exactly what kind of money is owed on a case.
Now, still in Illinois, if you want to cast a wider net and search multiple counties at once, you can set up a free basic account on the statewide Research IL portal. But keep this number in your head, 100. General users are strictly capped at viewing 100 cases or documents per day. So if you're doing a massive, deep dive background check, you've got to make every single click count before the system locks you out for the day.
All right, moving up to McLean County, North Dakota, you're going to use the Odyssey Records Inquiry System, or NDCRI. This portal is fantastic because it includes this amazingly helpful SoundX feature. Basically, if you aren't totally sure how to spell a complex last name, you just check the SoundX box and it will actually return phonetic matches for you. It's so useful. But definitely be aware of a major limitation here. While you can totally view the basic case details online for free,
North Dakota completely blocks remote users from downloading the actual document PDFs. If you want to see those deep images without opening your wallet, you've got to physically go into the courthouse and use their public terminals.
Down in McLean County, Kentucky, your go-to tool is the KY Court's Find a Case portal. Now, this system is completely free and doesn't even require a login, which is super convenient. It's absolutely perfect for tracking active dockets and figuring out when the next hearing is scheduled. But just like we saw in North Dakota, Kentucky restricts deep document viewing. Their more advanced system, CourtNet 2.0, is heavily restricted. So getting your hands on full document images usually means taking a physical trip down to the local county clerk's office.
Okay, let's transition into Section 4, Interpreting the Results. We're going to decode some of that legal jargon.
Because once you finally run a successful search, you're going to get hit with a wall of terminology. We really want to decode this jargon so you aren't instantly intimidated by what pops up on your screen. The word you're going to see the most, by far, is docket. Think of a docket as the official diary or the historical timeline of a case. It's a chronological, running list of every single event that went down in the courtroom. Whenever a lawyer files a motion, or a judge sets a hearing date, or even just a letter gets mailed, it gets a date and a line item right there on the docket. So if you want to know the whole story of how a lawsuit progressed from start to finish, you read the docket entries. The next truly crucial term you need to know is disposition. Honestly, if you're doing a background check, this is the single most important word on the page. The disposition is simply the court's final decision. It tells you exactly how the whole thing ended. Was the defendant found guilty? Was the case tossed out? Did they enter into a plea agreement? Literally all of that final outcome data lives right under the disposition heading.
Let's move to our final segment and see how this all builds together. Section 5, Additional Resources and Tips. These are your advanced research tricks.
Navigating the basic portals is great, but knowing the specific loopholes to bypass paywalls, well, that's where you become a true power user. Our sources highlight some frankly incredible and perfectly legal tricks. For instance, in North Dakota, clerks will usually charge you a $10 fee to run a search for you. But under North Dakota Administrative Rule 47, clerks are actually allowed to give you a free verbal confirmation over the phone if you just call and ask if a specific file exists. Amazing, right? Meanwhile, in Kentucky, property owners can sign up for a totally free service called Doc Alert. It automatically shoots you an email if a lien or a deed is filed under your name, so it basically acts as a free property fraud monitor. And this applies across all 3 states. If an online portal is ever asking for a credit card just to view a document, remember that the public computer terminals sitting inside the actual physical courthouses almost always let you view those exact same documents completely for free.
It is also super vital to understand the difference between state and federal records. Everything we've talked about so far, that only applies to the state level. If the person you're researching was involved in, say, a federal bankruptcy or a federal crime, you will not find those files on judiciary or KE courts. You have to navigate over to the federal database, which is known as PACER. And just a quick heads up, PACER isn't entirely free. They do charge 10 cents per page to view documents, though luckily it does cap at a maximum of $3 per document.
State courts can definitely have hidden costs too, especially if you're looking for much older, archived files. For example, in McLean County, Illinois, if you need a criminal record from before 1991, it isn't digitized yet. If you mail in a request asking the clerk to physically go down into the basement and flip through the old books, there is a statutory search fee of $6 per year per person searched. You can totally avoid this fee by just walking into the Bloomington courthouse and looking at the books yourself for free, but you're paying for the convenience of having someone else do the clerical work.
So, the crucial point is, before you wrap up your research, you really have to understand the standard legal disclaimer you're going to see stamped on almost every single portal, not an official court record. It's so important to remember that printing out a screenshot from your web browser does not magically give you an official, legally binding document. These online indexes, they're strictly for informational and educational purposes. If you're dealing with a real legal issue, an employment dispute, or a serious background check, you absolutely need to consult a qualified legal professional, and you'll most likely need to order a physically certified stamped copy straight from the clerk's office.
The digital doors to your local government are wide open right now, and it's completely transforming how we access the truth in our own communities. With these public records sitting literally right at your fingertips, what history will you uncover in your own county? I highly encourage you to take these skills, go test out your state's portal today, and please drop your most surprising discoveries in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy researching.